It's April 2009 and this is Photo Walkthrough Episode 7, Tutorial 1, Chapter 7. This is a re-encoding of the original Tutorial 1 chapter files. I managed to dig out the old files and re-encode them using our new encoding format, which looks much nicer than those original files and allows you to download and keep them. I hope you enjoy it.
Okay, I'm going to try and race through the rest of the image on this final video. First of all, I'm going to add a vignette to this image. This is something I do quite a lot, and it brings the corners of the image in darker, which sort of gives it it draws the eye more to the centre of the image. It's something I happen to like, it's something I tend to do quite a lot, and it can be quite a strong effect. Some people don't like it. I'll leave it up to you whether or not something you want to do to your images. I happen to think it suits black and white images like this. So here's how I do it. I'm going to create a new layer, which is going to be my vignette layer, and I first of all fill that with black. Black is my background colour, so I hit Control Delete. That fills that layer with black. I'm going to choose soft light, so it's like a dodge burn layer, but it's not actually a dodge burn layer, and I'm going to drag the palette out of the way, and then I'm going to choose the eraser tool. And I'm going to make the eraser really big. I'm using the right square bracket key just to make that eraser almost as big as the screen there, almost as big as the image there. And I'm just going to erase down the middle of the image. Okay. Now, if I turn on and off this layer, watch the corners of the image. That's without the vignette. That's with the vignette. It just brings it in. When you first do it, it looks really strong. After you've sort of left it there for a little while, it sort of vanishes a little bit. And in this case, I actually want to go even stronger. So I'm actually going to do a hard light vignette as well. So dragging the layer palette in again, I'm going to make another vignette layer. This is going to be my hard light gradient. So I'm not going to do quite the same thing this time. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to choose hard light for that blending mode. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to choose the gradient tool, which at the moment I've got set to, let me drag that in so you can see it, at the moment I've got it set to this second one along here, which is foreground to transparent. So choosing, if I press X and make black my foreground, you'll see it's now black to transparent in that gradient. I've got the gradient tool selected, and I'm going to just start at the top here, hold down the shift key, click and draw a line down like that. And as you can see, we've got a black gradient coming down across from the top, and at the bottom I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to start just outside the image so that I don't get quite such a strong effect, and I'm going to go in just a little bit at the bottom. Now that's way too strong. So if I drag this layer in and just drag the opacity down quite a lot, probably down to, I don't know, 25%, something like that. And that is the sort of effect I'm looking for. Now, looking at this, that first vignette layer, the soft light vignette layer, I'm thinking it's a little bit too dark in this corner. I'm just going to grab my eraser tool again, and I'm just going to gently with my Wacom tablet just reduce that just a little bit. Probably about there, just lightening into the corner so that I've got a sort of it's a little bit hard to see there. I think what I might actually do is go back to my dodge and burn layer that I made in the last video, and with my brush tool just going to gently give a little bit of a gradient to that corner, so we've got just a little bit darker coming in, just to try and match the tonality with the other corner there. And the final steps that I want to do on this image, I want to just do some final levels adjustments, and those levels adjustments are basically going to just sort of bring everything back into the right sort of tones. We've got some pretty good tones here, but I think overall it's looking a little bit dark. And I could probably push the contrast just a tiny bit further. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to make another final levels group. I'm going to do it right at the top here. So make another group, which is going to be called final levels. and inside that I'm going to do I think a lightening and a contrast. So I'm going to make 2 curves layers, just like you've seen me do a number of times before, and I'm not going to want layer masks on those, so I'm just going to drag the layer masks into the trash. And our first layer is going to be a lighten layer, and that's going to be screen blending mode, and our second one is going to be contrast, and that's going to be overlay. Right, I mean that's obviously ridiculously too strong at the moment, but if I'm just going to drag this out, and you'll just have to, what I'm going to be doing is dragging the opacity slider. Incidentally, I've not mentioned this before, if you've got Photoshop CS1 or CS2, you can click on the word opacity and just move your cursor left and right. They call these scrubby sliders, and I find them a lot easier to use than the drop down thing here like this. This is very difficult. It's 2 clicks. With the scrubby slider you just click and drag, and it's much easier. So I'm going to drag the contrast down to 0 just to start with, because I want to get the lightness right first of all. So I'm going to drag the lightness right down. I'm thinking, I'm going to do this so you can see the image. What's important here is looking at the image. What's important is trying to make the final image look right. So just dragging that up and down until what I want is the lighter tones here in the ground to be not white, but pretty well up there. I want a good tonal range to the image. So I think probably there, maybe down a little, because the contrast will tend to push the light lighter and the dark darker. And I'm going to go now for my contrast layer, which I'm just going to drag. At the moment it's at 0%. I'm just going to drag that up just a little bit. It's my style to push things as far as I possibly can. So in this particular image I'm pushing the contrast up as much as I can. And that there is about 17%. I think that's probably about as far as I'm comfortable pushing it. It's perhaps just a shade much. I'm just looking at the light there, just behind the back of the boat. I think I've overdone that just a little bit. So I'll drag that back down. I'm going to drag the lightning layer down just a little bit again as well. There. So I've got the lightning layer at 24%, and I've got the contrast layer at 10%. And that is my final levels, and that is the end of this image. Thank you very much for watching, and if you have any questions, I'll be most happy to answer them in emails or Skype or on the Tips from the Top Floor forum. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Today's show is sponsored by angieslist.com. We'd like to say a massive thank you to Angie's List for supporting the show. If you're looking for a contractor to do some work on your house or your car, or maybe a healthcare professional, head on over to angieslist.com. They've got the best and the most user-submitted reviews of contractors in your local area. You won't find a better, more reliable service for finding out who does good work in your area. Please head on over to angieslist.com and use the promo code PHOTO to get a 25% discount on any subscription that you make there. Thank you very much for following along with Photo Walkthrough Tutorial 1. Again, this is a re-encoding, and I hope you're enjoying the better quality, and those of you that wanted to keep it can download and keep these files. Remember, you can get in contact with the show by emailing me at photowalkthrough@gmail.com, and if you'd like to follow me on Twitter, my username on Twitter is FloydUK, FLOYD UK. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next tutorial.
Photocastnetwork.com, your photography resource in the potosphere. Photocastnetwork.com